Hey friends, are you ready to start automating your key processes inside of your business? If so, this video is 100% for you. I am going to be walking you through the automations inside of my favorite tool, ClickUp, of course. If you are brand new to the channel, a very warm welcome. My name is Nicola Melinda and I am the host of She Talks Systems, but I'm also a verified ClickUp consultant and a systems consultant. I work with clients who want to streamline their business more, leverage tools like ClickUp so that they can work with much more efficiency and ease. In today's video, like I said, we're going to be talking all things automations. I mean, in this day and age, there are so many options to automate your work. If you're still doing the most manually, I have to side eye you a little bit, because why? We don't need to be operating our businesses doing the most manually anymore. There are so many automated solutions out there. So even though today's video is predominantly focused all around ClickUp automations, I am here to tell you to look at your tech stack and understand where there are areas that you are not automating your work and what is stopping you from actually getting started. Is it out of fear that you would have something go out by mistake, fear that you would lose the personal touch in your business, or perhaps maybe you just like to have a lot of work on your plate? I don't know. Either which way, we're going to dive into how you can start to save yourself time and stress, not just for yourself, but if you have a team as well. These automations will also be beneficial for the team that is working with you. They want to focus on more productive work as well. So if you're already with me, drop a like, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel, because there will be more content coming out like this and I would hate for you to miss out. Right, so this is a tutorial on how to use the automations inside of ClickUp. To find your automations, you can set automations in ClickUp at the space level, at a folder level, and also at a list level. The list level is going to be the most popular place that you will set up your automations. So we're going to do that in this tutorial. So I'm inside of my leads list, and you can find automations at the top of any list, just in the top right section. You can also find automations in the menu as well. So you can go over to list settings and then just click on automations, and it will pull up your automations for that particular list. So we'll just click on the automations field there, and it's going to bring us into this screen where this is almost like the automations hub. This is where you can manage the current automations, what you have active, but also you can get a view over inactive automations that are in this particular list. You will know where you are viewing these automations or where these automations are housed based on this drop box at the top. This little box is going to allow you to navigate through the workspace. So you can open up your automations hub from any place inside of ClickUp, and then you can navigate to different lists inside of your ClickUp workspace, which is a really, really helpful tool. So if you click on a location that doesn't have automations in place, it's going to come up like this. It's going to say create your first automation. But if you were to click on a list that has automations, then it will show you the automations that are currently in place within that particular location. So you can toggle throughout the different lists and folders and spaces just by using this particular drop down. At the top, we've got our menu. So our menu options, again, allow us to navigate the different areas of the automations. So we've got browse. Browse is where you can get some ideas. So if you are stuck for inspiration, I am going to share at the end of this walkthrough some of my favorite automations to use in ClickUp, but also this is a great place to come and see what is popular, what automations are in place for project management solutions. If you've got an idea of a workflow or an automated workflow that you're trying to put in place and you know it requires specific actions such as moving tasks or updating statuses, then this section will give you some ideas on what some of the options are that you can apply to your workflow, which is really, really beneficial. Also down below, you'll notice there are some integrations, and these are also beneficial for automating your workflow. So we've got Calendly, email, HubSpot as well. These will be the most common ones. You've got Bugsnag and GitHub, all integrations. Essentially, all it means is if you are using these tools, then you can connect them so that you can build more internal workflows with these tools. Email is one that I use often. So what that means is you will connect to your email account and you're able to send email automations through to whoever you want to send emails to, which is really, really helpful. If you do want to see more, I do have a video on how to set up email automations inside of ClickUp. Check that out and I will link that below for you. So the manage option is where we started. When you open up the automations hub, you will always be in the manage area. So we will come back to that in a moment. Usage is going to show you just a bit more about your usage, what plan you're on, and how often you've used your automations. So how many of your automations you have used, and if you need any add-ons, that's where you will go. Your activity will share what's been going on with your automations. So it's going to tell you what automations have been able to run successfully versus what haven't been successful, what location fields they are in as well. So you'll have some options here where you can set some filters if you do want to just have an idea of where your automations are working and how they're operating inside of ClickUp as well. So that can be really beneficial. And if you have any recurring automations in place, such as recurring tasks, then again, all of those automations will sit inside of this view. So we'll go back over to our manage screen, because this is where you will go to make new automations, edit automations, turn automations on and off, and also you can delete and duplicate your automations from this area. So anything to do with management for your automations is going to be happening here. So I'm going to switch over to a view that has a few more automations so we can get a feel for some different options and the way they're set up. So you can see here we've got 5 active automations, 2 inactive. So I can click on that tab and it will show me the automations that are inactive. If I wanted to create a new automations, then what I'll do is just click on add automation. And now we are inside of our automated screen. Now, ClickUp is rolling out a lot of AI features as well. So if you haven't opted in for AI as yet, then I would definitely consider this as an option because it is beneficial going forward. But in this case, I'm not going to touch on AI in this example. I'm going to keep it fairly high level for you guys. So here we are. We want to set automation up. And essentially, when you're thinking about automations, you need to have what we call the trigger. The trigger is what is going to kickstart this action. The action is the actual automation. So the trigger is what needs to happen versus what is the action that we want to have happen. So we've got a lot of different options, and what you will see is that something new that ClickUp has rolled out is we now have the option to choose whether this action happens to parent tasks, subtasks, or tasks or subtasks. So you may in the past have set certain automations, and perhaps you're seeing that the automations are running on both your parent tasks and your subtasks. Well, now you can actually stop that being the case by applying this only to either the parent task, and that means that it will ignore the subtasks. So if you are applying your automations based on a status update, for example, but perhaps you only need that to be applied on a parent task, then you can do that. So you have the option to set your automations up that way. Then we have all of the different action options, and ClickUp has been really kind in categorizing the different types of options that we can play around with. So we've got the most popular, which is when a task is created, custom field change, status changes. We've also got options to move tasks around, so move to different locations, or when a new task is added to the location. We can create and complete different tasks, checklists, communication, dates and due dates, and just task management, which is really, really helpful. So you have to think about your workflow, and I highly recommend going back and mapping out what your process steps would look like, because that will help you to have an idea on what actions need to take place so that you can apply the correct action to get the correct trigger. So alongside also considering your process, you also will need to consider what elements you need to have in place. Do you need to have specific custom fields in place, certain tags created? Do you need to create different forms or task templates? All of those assets, I highly recommend ensuring you have them in place first before you start automating, because it will be a lot easier to automate and set up automations once you've actually started with all of the fundamental assets that you need. Those are the foundational pieces, and then you can go ahead and start setting up your automations. So this is that's just a caveat I wanted to share with you guys. But at this level, if you are thinking of applying automations, you've got some options. So we've got just a one-step automation, which is literally one action will happen and then it will create just one trigger. So as an example, if the status changes in this list, this is my leads list, if a status changes, let's say it changes from any, so it could be any active status, and it changes to, let's put it as it's changed to 1. So I've won this client, really happy we've won this client. Then I want to think, oh, what would be the action that I would like to see? So that action, it could be that I want to move this task, and I could select to move it. This is a really cool automation that I love, is that you can choose to move it and also keep it in the current list that it's in. So this is a really, really cool automation, but I could then choose to move it anywhere in the workspace. So I might just say add it to my onboarding list, and then I can put a description in there to say move any one projects to onboarding list. And that will move that task over. So if I was to just hit create, then we've got our automation, and it's going to say, because we're moving it to a different space, it's going to ask for us to remap the statuses for the new task that's been moved across. So we can just remap those statuses and just say, let's just set them all to do. Done. And then that automation is now set up. So we now know that that automation is in place and it will work for us. Now, if we go back to that same automation that I created and I clicked on edit, we have the option to add some multi-steps to our automations as well. So I'm going to change this automation a little bit for this particular demo. So let's just say that this is, instead of it